How are we doing, you beautiful people? Kanzi here, bringing you episode 21 of Rise of the Holy Nation. In this episode we are going after the Black Tower. This tower is a haven for Narkos and narco worshippers. So we are going to go in and we are going to purge the tower of all of its taint. And also there are a few people in here with some very impressive bounties on their heads, which are going to make for a very nice addition to our war fund. Looks like we are off to a good start. They have just sent all the fodder out front and we have taken them down. One issue that we run into quite often is that we can get overrun very quickly because of the 5 times attack slot. But with their numbers thinned, they will not be able to bring as many people into the fight against us, so we are going to be able to gang up on them instead of them ganging up on us, which is going to be a very nice change. Going to send Gnu into the tower for a little bit of recon, and on the second floor we have here is the Keeper, who has a 250,000 cat bounty on their head, which is going to give us a whole bunch of cats, which is going to be super nice. It does seem like the rest of the guys must be somewhere else. Yeah, there they go. They are all in the tower at the top. So we are going to get into a pretty decent fight. We are rocking a bunch of katanas, so we are going to be in a pretty good situation to be getting in the fight indoors. Even though it seems it's mainly that they got samurai leg plates, which seems to be their main form of armour, which isn't going to be too much of an issue. We are going to be able to take them down quite nicely, and somehow Dexter was able to fit through the door, so he is going to rain absolute carnage in there. Midnight hasn't for some reason, but you know, dogs can't always get through doors, it turns out, in Kenshi, because of logic. But anyway, details. We are winning, we're doing quite well. We do have nobody down so far, which is a nice change, and as that's what we normally have, people fall down pretty quick. But it looks like those fights up in World's End caused us to improve a little bit, which is quite nice. Can't say the Keeper is looking like she is in the best situation right now. Gnu, being the absolute powerhouse she is just carving through. The rest of the Knights of Corruption seem to be dropping quite quickly, and some of them have a 30,000 cat bounty on their head as well. Meaning that is a whole bunch of cats we are going to be able to take away from this fight. We do need to bring them up to probably stack to hand them in, and it's going to be a fairly long and slow road, I reckon, because our guys are not super strong. Their strength hasn't done too much. Does have a Mei 2 topper and katana. The rest of the kit we can't really use. We'll take the leg plates, but that is going to be about it. The rest of it we will sell. We'll take the backpack though, just so we can loot more kit. And then we are looking like we are in a super sweet situation. With the Keeper down, it is just going to be a mop-up exercise. Shouldn't take too long. A nice little bit of training for most of our characters, seeing as the Adventurer Squad, or what was the Adventurer Squad, hasn't had too much in the way of fighting anything decent. They've fought a lot of bandits, a lot of dust bandits, some Traders Guild, but that is about it. So this is going to be some very good training for them, because after we drop these bounties off, we re-equip, sort some different kit out, we are going after the Shek. Seeing as the first town that we're going to come across is Squin, that will be the first town that we will attack. Those Narcos just melted away in absolutely no time. We have gone round and looted the tower. There is really not much in there, so if you're going in there for loot, you are wasting your time. However, the Knights of Corruption do drop some decent swords, so we have gone in and picked those up, and they are rocking some specialist grade samurai leg plates. These leg plates aren't going to be much use to us because they are uniform, and being the Holy Nation playthrough we're doing kind of sends the wrong message. Weird that the Keeper just showed up the way that she did, because we went in, wiped out all of the Narcos, done a very good job, and then spent about 10 minutes searching each corpse trying to find the Keeper. I left the game running for about 5 minutes, hoping that she might show back up. When I came back, yeah, she was just there hitting some training dummies like some absolute psychopath. So it's like, oh yeah, all of my friends are being killed, captured and looted. Do you know what I should do? Is I should run around basically cloveless and then hit a training dummy, because that is going to save us. Just like you absolute freak. So yeah, we got her. We got the rest of the Knights of Corruption, and it is going to be the very slow journey up to stack to sell off our sweet sweet bounties. That journey from the hub to stack took forever. That was a super long, slow, uneventful journey. But now that we are here, we've only got a couple of the stragglers left behind, so we don't need to worry too much about them. So we're just going to go drop off the bounties that we can, move back, help the slower guys, like change them out with the quicker ones, so we can get all these bounties in nice and quick. It's going to give us a whole bunch of money, a whole bunch of relationship. We need to head back to the main base. In main base we have a little bit of infrastructure to change, got to equip some new weapons, some new armor, and then we are going to head down to Squin and take the fight to the dirty Shek. Finally remember to close the gate when we're out of town, and now we have a bunch of starving bandits trying to raid the base. We got the harpoons firing down, but they're not actually shooting. Only a couple of them will fire at a time, which is kind of annoying because we've got them all like bunched up in a place where they can easily be shot apart, but our harpoons aren't firing. Our guys are saying that they're aiming, and then occasionally will say that they fire, but it's very rarely does a harpoon actually make it down, or if they are coming down, they're mainly from one of our gunners. This is something we're going to need to look into, try and sort out. I have moved some stuff around, had a couple tweaks, had another look, but it doesn't seem to be helping us all that much. If you can think of something, if you can let me know, that would be amazing, because we want this base to be able to be defended when the adventurers aren't away. So if we're attacking someone else and then another nation comes and attacks us, we need to be able to defend. And if we're in a situation where starving bandits can beat through our gate, I don't think we are going to be in a super good situation. So yeah, trying to move people around, they would go back to other harpoons and turrets. But when it works pretty well. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that often. Starting to run uncomfortably low on food, so we're going to put in a couple more wheat straw farms. This hopefully will keep us in some flour, and with that flour obviously we can make bread. And then once we get everything together, we can start turning that into ration packs, which are super efficient sources of food. But I think there must have been an update to the mod list, because all of the bread that we had stockpiled had just disappeared, which isn't a great situation to be in. So we've had to readjust that, put in some new storage, and hopefully we've sorted this problem. Slight change of plan, we are going to go straight down to Squin. We'll stop by the hub just so we can kill some things off, because it seems like a good thing to do. And we've also got to pass through the hub anyway, so the more of it we can take out, the less chance we got of someone being able to sneak up on us. Say if we're retreating or something goes wrong, at least we know that we're going to have a safe path back to the base. So we'll go in, take down the last of what is left, and then it is time to go to Squin. It would seem that we done a pretty good job last time we're here. There doesn't seem to be many people left, or those that are left really been in a situation where they can fight back. Not that they could fight back before, they put up a pretty poor defense last time. We do have some skeletons, which are obviously going to need to be destroyed because Holy Nation, whatnot details. We're not going to be able to loot them because Holy Nation again, which is a little bit of a shame. They could be quite useful and they sell for quite a lot, but it's heretical tech, and we are trying to eradicate that from the world. So details. But now we will be heading down to the first of many of Shek towns. Looks like the Shek already know stories of Audrey and Elizabeth. Not quite as terrifying when you say those names, but yeah, that's cool. Didn't realise that the Shek would do that, but it's not going to save them. They are going to die anyway. The chopper of horns off the Sheks and the purges and the eradicators and the rest of all of those are fun things, how we would describe ourselves and the Holy Nation. We are coming up against a bunch of 100 Guardians who are fairly tough. They're not crazy strong, but they are a worthy opponent, especially for a lot of our squad because they're quite low level. The part of the reason we're running faster attacking weapons is so that when we fight the Shek we can get our attacks off. Because if you're going slow against slow, you almost always lose against a Shek. They got pretty good numbers, they've got decent stats and decent equipment. Whereas if you go fast against slow, yeah, you're not going to do a massive amount of damage against them and you won't have as good a cleaves. But you're going to be able to get the attacks off, which is essentially what Kenshi comes down to, is can you attack them and cause more damage than they can attack you and cause damage to you. So against a Shek, we go fast and we go in hard. And we try to win, and that's going to be a plan. And the strategy for this town is option A. Hold the gate. and then we'll push through. If we hold the gate, they can only come from us from one side. Also means if they run out of the buildings and that, it's still only coming from one direction. If you start running and try and take the middle of the town, very quickly you find yourself surrounded. All your retreats will be cut off, and then the Shek or whoever you're attacking just comes out of nowhere and can quickly isolate your group. If we are fighting together, we will have a better chance because they've got less of an opportunity to bring more numbers against one of our guys. In a one-on-one fight, one of these 100 Guardians can probably take one of my guys without too much hassle. But if there's two of us against one of them, the fight should be in our favour. Now their cleaves going off are going to cause crazy amount of damage. They're just going to punch straight through our armour. We don't have the best of toughness, and we're also playing as humans who are super squidgy and go down not as quickly as bugmen, but definitely do not have the staying power of a Shek. And since that's what we're fighting, the Shek are at a bit of an advantage. They've got the home ground advantage, they've got more numbers than us, and each of their little characters and cretins are stronger than one of ours, other than the Juggernauts and Dexter. Other than those, we would be in for a losing fight. But we're clearing up quite nicely. We've got the lower gate secure. What we will need to do is go around and start going into the shops. This way we can draw up the gate guards and anyone that will come out and try to heal the Shek when they're down. That is not a thing. You do not get a butcher Nippy. You are Nippy's dinner. Nippy is not yours. And also, what type of savage in the middle of a fight goes, do you know what? Let's start carving up this doggo. Anyway, he's left him alone. What we'll do is Nippy will be back up soon. Once Nippy's up, he can go hunt down that wrong'un that tried to carve him up. And Nippy can just go bite off his face or something. Like the good doge that he is. Normally the dust bandits end up aggroing onto the Shek, but that doesn't really seem to be a thing at the moment, which is kind of, well, it's not annoying, it's just more of an inconvenience, because having the extra manpower, even if it's not on our side, but just something to just tie up the Shek and help wear them down, would be quite nice. But I would stick with the gate is pretty much ours. Only issue is there's a medical trader right there, and he's healing up the Shek, which isn't good. We don't want the Shek being healed. And we are starting to have our guys go down. Dexter is down, but he'll get back up. Like, you can't keep him down. They're using blunt weapons, so he's not taking too much bleed damage. And bleed damage is basically what will keep him out of the fight for a long period of time. Or if he only goes down to just like trauma, his regen is insane and he'll just get back up. Take another couple Shek, go down again, get back up, get back in. This is starting to get quite close, so we are going to need to be super careful. But if we can just keep the Shek down, stop them getting back up, we are going to be in a pretty decent situation, so long as they don't start sneaking around and kidnapping our guys, which is something that the Shek love to do, or basically any town that you fight. Just love to kidnap your guys instead of actually fight you, which causes a few problems because they steal your weapons as well. So you end up having guys that are now firstly in jail, so they're not fighting. Secondly, they've had their weapons stolen, which means you have to go and find the weapons. And instead of fighting you when you could have knocked them out, they've now kidnapped you guys. So we're just going to keep an eye on that, and hopefully we can stay ahead of it. So right here is a good example of it. See, guy wasn't even in a situation he could fight, but he's still trying to loot our weapons. Dishonourable is how I call that, and Shek are all saying about how they're honour bound and honourable fighters and all this stuff. Well, clearly you're not if you have to snoop to so low levels to even try to think that you have a fight in this. But we've got some crop lice coming in, which normally wouldn't be a super big deal, but the Shek are that beaten up at the moment, and they love attacking animals, that those crop lice are going to end up taking quite a few of the Shek down, which is going to be pretty useful for us. It was starting to look really good for us. Most of our guys were back up into the fight, shredding the Shek, doing super well. But now we have a big group of dust bandits come in. So Dexter, Peter, Gnu, dust bandits aren't an issue. They'll go down, but they can always get back up. Insane regen, as I keep saying, would be in a pretty sweet situation. But it's our weaker guys that go in and end up just getting knocked down or taking injuries that we really don't want them taking. And some of the dust bandits that we're fighting, because we have the hard gen mod on, I'm not sure if it's a bug or something, but they start rocking around with stats up in the 80s. Now, even if you put someone with stats in the 80s in shoddy grade kit, they still have their stats in the 80s, which makes them super powerful. That is like the 5 Invincibles That's their level of stats or minor bosses. So yeah, and you got that against like one of like the low end NPCs. Super balanced, but good fun. Trains your guys up super quick so long as they just don't get nuked out. Oi, that's my katana, give it back. So we have had 2 of our guys captured by the Shek and put into the tower. Not the perfect situation to be in, but something that we will get through. So we're going to take down the Shek, bring back our weapons so our guys can get them once they regain some consciousness. And what we have started to do is when the Shek gets knocked down now, we steal their medikits. With no medikits, that means no healing. No healing means none of the Shek get back up. And if none of the Shek get back up, that means Squin falls. And if Squin falls, we can go on to Admech. And once we're in Admech, we are going to go and find Seta, take our head and give it to the High Lord Phoenix. And that is some Napoleonic level war planning right there. Almost as in depth as the siege of a town. But what we do want to do is there is a Shek armory. The Shek sometimes sell that mercenary armor that we were after. The whole reason we went up to World's End was for that kit, and we really didn't get it. So what we are hoping is this time round that the Shek might have it for us. If we can get it from the Shek, that is going to be pretty awesome, because we are going to need to swing back to the main base anyway before we can continue on to Admech just to heal up. And if they have that blueprint, which is like the mercenary sabatons, no, they are the boots. The Chavises, I believe is what they're called. That would be like not game changing, but it does mean we're not going to be running around in samurai cloth pants or cargo pants. We will actually have something that protects our legs, which is something that we do not have on our characters right now as leg protection. And with some decent leg protection, we are going to be able to stay in the fights a lot longer and be able to move in between fights quicker. So that just means more killing. We have found some of the mercenary shows, which is the leg armor that we've been after. That is how you're supposed to say it, apparently, according to someone I talked to. How reliable they are as a source, I do not know, so I do apologise to any of the French out there if I've just butchered that, but just let me know how it's actually meant to be said, so I don't look like a complete barbarian for the rest of this playthrough every time I say it. Bunch more schematics there, nothing too much, nothing that we're really going to use, but some of it we're going to be able to sell, and other parts might just be nice to put onto different characters, just so we have a little bit of flavour. Everyone is back up, we've only got 1 person down at the moment, and they are safely in the prison at the moment, so we don't need to worry about them. And what we're going to do is we are going to go and hit the faction HQ. But we'll leave that for next episode, so thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.